This video is sponsored by Valakan Clans, Ghostfire's newest entry in the Grim Hollow setting, which just launched today on Kickstarter. Yeah, back-to-back projects here. It's an interesting season. The project is 2 whole books centered around the icy northern regions of Valaka and the raiders of its scarce resources, which include the players. For me personally, the highlight is over a dozen pre-made dungeons from 3rd level to 9th level that fit into their seasonal quests, which I'd rather rip apart for inspiration. They got good people and good ideas. Naturally, the main enemy of the north is the icy grip of death. Lucky for adventurers, this grim setting brings out agents of cold during the frigid season, just in case your party gets too comfortable around a campfire. There's a bunch of stuff to explore on the Kickstarter, and soon enough in all the pages of the books. The link is in the description if you want to poke at it, but for now I got a video for you. Hey, look at that! Our good friends backed off after 15,000 of their clients said that we'd happily leave if the game became a contract. I'll be adjusting slightly anyway, going a little bit broader with my content. I'll still be using creatures and rules that I'm familiar with, but let's get going. Adventure locations are an incredibly overlooked detail in most stories, used as a backdrop painting for the main events in the campaign. But the environment can actually become a part of the story, and the best way that I try to look at it is by treating the location as its own character. Try thinking about it that way, like what does it wear, how does it behave, what are its likes and dislikes? If you can think abstractly enough, you can build up a challenging creature to throw at your party in the form of a location. And today I'm gonna make a swamp, and you aren't allowed in it when I'm done. Don't you dare touch my slime-covered toadstools. Seriously, they're for a little frog bar that I'm building. First thing I'm gonna run down are how the environment treats the 5 senses. Trudging through a swamp is a battle in and of itself, with overwhelming humidity draining your sweat into the undrinkable swamp water, while the swamp itself summons swarms of invisible insects to accost you. The sound is an interesting one, especially when the cacophony of mating calls from birds and chittering monkeys overhead goes completely silent as the party approaches something that they probably shouldn't. Which is easy to do because the dense foliage acts as half cover for just about everything. A little tidbit about the most explored monster in swamps, black dragons. Do you know how they like to prepare their food? They literally pickle dead bodies in the frothy brine of algae and disease that is swamp water. That shit stank like your grandma and your dog farted at the same time. And finally, for taste. I hear alligator's actually pretty good. Now we ask, why would the party ever go here? I think the easiest way, if this is your style, is to put a stretch of swampland between 2 plot points and make it like the villain of the week that the party has to deal with. Either make the swamp itself the main threat, or throw some lackeys in to hunt the party. Could even do like a bunch of little monkey-themed bandits or something. Or you could have a black dragon-guarded MacGuffin, some rare plants that the party needs to find, some ancient ruins to suffer through, or put a bounty up for an old criminal in hiding. Speaking of ruins, let's talk set pieces. There's a 78 in this one. This was a great one. Honestly though, these are going to be important locations or scenes that you throw into the adventure as kind of the pinnacle of the session. Aside from the classic vine-covered ziggurat or the ogre's dwelling, we don't have a bunch of existing ones. I think watching through Avatar's swamp episode has great concepts to pick from, like big mother trees and little hick people in mossy houses. Oh yeah, witches, cackling over their cauldrons, flinging spells and increasing the local toad population. And with everything, you can also just reskin other cool ideas and drop them in here. Like that Star Wars chase scene where they run a bunch of guys into trees, or the other one where that guy gets stopped by a branch. I'd love to zoom around in like a witch's mortar and pestle and then duck under a vine before it clotheslines the jaguar that's chasing me. That is actually an important note too. Swamps are old, and they take a long time to grow and get that way. Bigger animals that live in them have their specific hunting paths and dwellings, while smaller creatures jump through holes in the canopy. But for adventurers, it doesn't want you to go through. It'll push back. It'll stop you in your tracks and force you to use a mix of ropes, swords, and some good old-fashioned climbing. Speaking of creatures, let's slap some in here and call it a day. You got bullywogs, froghemoths, everybody's favorite grungs, giant frogs, normal frogs, this frog. You could put big snakes in there or just have snake people, or these weird looking snakes that can't die. Then of course you got lizard hicks that are hungry for meat, and plants that are hungry for meat, and this thing. I think it has a spin attack. I have videos on most of these things actually. Okay, so this was like 4 minutes long and I had an extra day to work on it. I'll close this out for real by actually throwing together an example encounter thing. I also noticed that I overplayed monkeys and downplayed frogs, which are like the actual main dudes in a swamp. The kickoff for this encounter will either be a quest board posting or a young woman looking for help. She'll explain that her son was stolen by frogs in a nearby swamp, and vehemently states that the party should go and kill all the frogs that they see, and bring back proof that they ate her son. Weird that she doesn't want to save him. The party should trudge through sickly water or take some kayaks to the destination. Well, hey look, a frog guy. Well, hey look, like 30 of them. Too many to fight. Bing bang hostage, they take the party back to Big Frog Hemoth. Let's make him like a sentient chief because this is a game and I can do what I want, and he'll explain. Second thought, she'll explain that they don't eat anyone from outside the swamp, and they ain't ate no kids. Turns out the pretty young lady was actually a snake lady. A snoltist, in fact, who wanted the bullywogs disbanded so that they would make for easier snacks. The party is asked to either make the snakes leave or launch a full-scale attack with the bullywog troops. If they head out and chat with the snake lady, she will either try to appeal to their greed or just fearmonger. If the party attacks, I want the frog hemoth to carry the party in her mouth. At least like the little guys. Somebody. Or maybe she could be like that one frog that has a bunch of holes in its back and just carry all the bullywogs. But anyway, just build up a camp, and then balance out the challenge of the two groups with like a couple of Yuanti Malisons, 5 frogs, the mom hemoth, and like an anathema or an abomination to match the challenge of a CR10, Jesus. And that's it. Goodbye.